Now, in Hungary, everyone's freaking out about all of this stuff because if there's anyone that doesn't care about the will of their own people, it's the Europeans, heartbreakingly enough. Now, in Hungary, there was an election that just happened that honestly was absolutely devastating. The previous leader, Orban, lost massively. There's a lot of claims of fraud, and there's actual, there is actual logical rationale explained as to why there was fraud. I personally don't know. I have no idea. I'm not that involved in Hungarian politics. However, in an absolutely devastating defeat, really based Viktor Orban, from what I've seen of him, lost miserably to like centrist, slightly right-wing, kind of cucked out, super pro-European Union Euro trash. All right, looks like the last bastion is gone. The Hungarians are about to learn the true meaning of you don't know what you've got till it's gone. The rest of us in Europe have just lost our only real stronghold against the EU. Devastating. And this is how a lot of people feel. Now, Hungary was fined 200 million euros by the EU for refusing to accept Muslim refugees entering illegally into the country. In response, Orban, this is back when he was actually president, Orban started busing them straight to the EU capital, Brussels. Now he lost the election and everything is about to change. All right, so, you know, he was fighting back against, like, this mass migration for a very, very long time. Now, the real question is, who wants to go to Hungary? Valid. The answer is, obviously, they have great food. Hungary has fantastic food. And the reality is brutal. Things are going to change demographically. Right? They were busing illegal migrants, saying, "Oh, you're not going to let us deport them back to Mr. EU retard government. You're not going to let us deport them back to wherever they came from. No problem. We'll just send them somewhere else. You know, and they'll send them to Germany or some shit. You know, well, it's rough out there. So Germany, you know, because everyone's shipping all their shit to Germany, and Germany was mega cucked ever since a specific painter killed himself, which was probably one of the best decisions he's ever made. I'm not a big Hitler fan over here, but I am saying ever since Hitler died, all of Europe decided, holy shit, white people are the problem. Let's import infinite browns. So thanks, Hitler. Not only did you cuck the Jews, but you cucked the whites too. So this was an insane headline. Syria has rejected Germany's plan to send over 700,000 refugees home. Why the fuck were there 700,000 Syrian refugees in Germany? And then Germany's like, whoa, we want to send them home. You know, they do a lot of raping. Oh, sorry, that's the British accent. Every time I think of, you know, Muslims raping people, I immediately think of England because that's the Muslim rape capital of the world. In Germany, it's more like, 999! No raping in the streets! And they're trying their absolute best to get rid of them, and the Syrians are just like, nope. Nope, you could keep them. Nothing we can do about it. Even Syria doesn't want the Syrians back. I mean, let's be real. We've seen what the Syrians have been doing in Germany. You know, they're bombing Christmas markets and shit. Islamic terror attacks have increased in Germany dramatically, as did the rape rate, coincidentally. And I love how Germany is just so absolutely cucked that they're going to be like, oops. Oopsies, I guess Syria doesn't want him back. I guess we have to keep him. You know, and unfortunately, that's that. Like, no, you absolute cucks. Put them on a boat and send them there. Let them figure shit out. It's their people. I don't understand. Bro, the Euro cucketing is honestly insane. But I see a lot of headlines over here. Syria rejected Germany's plan to send them over. Syria doesn't want the Syrians back. There is one headline that is more correct than any others. Syria refuses to withdraw its troops from Europe. Much more accurate, if you ask me. This is the most accurate headline you could have possibly found. Syria managed to have 700,000 troops in German borders to be activated whenever they want. And the Germans are like, excuse me, sir. Can we please return your troops back to your land? And they were like, no. And they're like, oh, it's completely understandable. Rape away, mein French. My friends, my Syrians, please rape away. No problem, sir. We will do nothing about it. You've told us no, and we will do nothing. They say 9, and this is 9. You know, honestly, what Germany should have said is they should have said, suck mine Nancy balls. No, I'm kidding. That was a joke. That was it. Come on, calm down, guys. All right, we make fun of everyone on this channel. Now, in the absolute spirit of cucking themselves, Elon Musk retweeted this story about how Australia started arresting their old veterans, their old heroes, their war heroes, for being war criminals. Court documents reveal that the Australian government war crimes investigations do not have names of 2 individuals that Ben Robert Smith allegedly killed in Afghanistan 20 years ago. No one identified the victims, even after $300 million was spent on war crimes investigation over 5 years. Just think about how insane this is, man. So the Australian government sees a war hero. They're like, well, he's white. Well, he's white. We have a lot of Muslims in our country, so we're going to have to put him in court in front of Muslims to judge him on if he's actually a war criminal from what he did in Afghanistan to Muslims. Now, they spent $300 million investigating that, taxpayer dollars, obviously, investigating the actual crime. They managed to find out that he allegedly killed 2 people in Afghanistan illegally, and they don't have names of the people that were killed. Australia Office of Special Investigations Director Ross Barnett already revealed the investigators have no crime scenes, no access to deceased, no bodies, no post-mortem reports, no official cause of death, no recovery of projectiles to link weapons that might have been carried out by the ADF, no, that's the Australian military, I'm pretty sure, no photographs, no site plans, no measurements, no recovery of projectiles, no blood splatter. Now, we know that after $300 million and 5 years of investigation, they do not even have the names of the 2 victims, allegedly. If there is no name, no identification, no body, how do they know anyone was killed? Does anyone actually think this is fair? Does anyone actually think that a criminal conviction proved a criminal standard beyond reasonable doubt is remotely possible in these circumstances? Daily Mail says 2 of the 5 men Ben Robert Smith is accused of murdering while serving in the Special Air Service in Afghanistan have never been identified by war crimes investigators. Court documents seen by the Daily Mail show that one Victoria Cross recipient's alleged victims is described only as person under control 1, or alternatively enemy killed in action 3. And it doesn't even matter because they're arresting this guy for war crimes. They don't know the names of the people he allegedly killed 20 years ago. This guy's a war hero in Australia, and now in front of a Muslim judge and jury, bro is going to jail for war crimes for life. The absolute cucking of a nation. If Steve Irwin was still alive, the Australian government would find a reason to imprison him for touching haram animals. It's like these countries absolutely hate themselves and hate their people. And honestly, the people had enough. Apparently, there's been an entire war. I'm pretty sure this is in Ireland, where the farmers are going up against the actual militaries, fighting back, saying, yo, this is our land, dude. Like, everyone's tired of this, man. Everyone's so tired of, like, the lib cucketing of the world. No one wants to deal with this shit anymore. Like, 2026, year of the Great Crusade, give us our countries back, dude. And that's why I was honestly just shocked at the Hungarian election. Like, the absolute devastating defeat.
Ireland is going into its 4th night of fuel protests, and I
guess Hungary didn't know what they were missing. Right? Hungary didn't know. They didn't realize, right? Because they actually had a decent leader for the last 16 years. So they didn't actually really know the fact that what it's like under a centrist party. Under a centrist party. Yeah, just like England is under a centrist party.
Only are they fighting their own police or Gordy. Apparently even their military is getting deployed to defeat their farmers to protect their taxes.
Dog! They're sending the military against the farmers? Oh my god.
Since the war in Iran, fuel shortages have begun countrywide, where their truckers began blocking the roads everywhere, bringing their capital of Dublin to a standstill. As for several nights, the citizens are blocking the streets, with the farmers leading the charge.
We have Galway Port to the fuel depot completely blocked from end to end, and we are not moving until we get a resolution to this current fuel crisis that's ripping through the country at the minute.
God, he's so right. God, he's so right. It's so sad because, like, you'll have, like, the British government, for example, you know, and they're gonna cry about how actually the reason why we don't have fuel is actually Donald Trump's fault. It's all Trump's fault that we don't have fuel because he decided to kill terrorists, and the terrorists are now doing terror attacks in the Strait of Hormuz, and that's much worse. Meanwhile, these countries have absolutely cucked themselves with the woke bullshit that prevents them from drilling, right? We're not allowed to actually drill for oil because it might be bad for the environment, so therefore let's just fucking die, actually. Let's just carbon tax people to oblivion, right? 30% extra fees on all taxes and on all oils and all gases because, well, you know, we want to de-incentivize people from actually buying it because it's bad for the environment.
Do not go home. Do not leave. We have one chance here, and we have to grasp it with both hands.
Now, I'm no fan of stopping the streets to accomplish something politically, but there's a stark contrast between pleasing pink-haired, unemployed behavior and the blue-collar farmers that literally feed you, as society could...
No, I think there's a pretty fundamental difference also, because these farmers are not just like regular farmers. They are fighting back against a tyrannical government that's stealing their money. The blue-haired feminist, feminazi retards, they disagree with policy, so they decide to firebomb police officers, you know, to protect pedophiles or whatever they do. Like, this is not remotely the same, in my opinion. Not all standing in the middle of the road and annoying the shit out of people is created equal.
survive without liberal activists forever, but without farmers, we'd collapse within a week. But rather than catering to them, the Irish sent out their police.
That's right. Arrest the farmers instead of removing the bullshit woke carbon taxes.
And mass standoffs appearing to be outnumbered 10 to 1.
Peaceful protest, lads. Lads are linking up. There's 10 tankers coming down the road getting a full guard escort. There's a tanker there waiting already. The tankers are just around the bend over. Absolutely nothing can get through now. RTE and all the other media outlets are reporting that the guards are taking back control. The guards have lost control.
So as of yesterday, they warned the citizens, move or face the full rigors of the law.
By targeting critical infrastructure such as fuel depots and refineries.
What do you mean targeting? Did they shoot it with a missile? What do you mean targeting?
These are no longer protests, they are blockades. This is
Palestine protests literally light cars on fire and, pillage little villages. All right? It's a peaceful protest. Truckers cannot afford to drive, so they stop their trucks in the middle of the road because of woke bullshit taxes. It's a blockade. A blockade, dude.
not tolerable and it is against the law. In dealing with protests, An Garda Síochána is now moving to an enforcement phase in relation to those impacting on critical infrastructure unless they desist and disperse from...
You do realize, literally in England, there were Palestinian quote-unquote protesters that firebombed military bases and airports. And they weren't treated this badly.
These blockades. And Garda Síochána is advising protesters to immediately cease blockades of such critical national infrastructure or face the full rigors of the law.
They tried to scare them away.
Possibly being arrested, and on conviction, you'll be liable to a fine of €1,000 or up to 6 months in prison. I would just urge you all to please peacefully remove yourselves from the area. Thank you. What do we think, lads?
What do the people of Ireland say?
Damn, the balls on these guys.
Eventually getting into small scuffles with their citizens.
Get them off him! Get them off him! Get them off him!
Oh, this is gonna become a civil war at some point. The civil war in Europe is really brewing, man. And you know it's gonna be the government and the Islamic foreigners versus the natives, and it's just heartbreaking.
Now,
crazy.
whenever a clip begins the second of the assault, I automatically assume the context was purposely deleted, but
Yeah.
still doesn't detract from the fact that these arrests will only make it worse, escalating everything as they're now deploying their military.
The numbers have swelled significantly. There
That's like all their military too.
are hundreds of people here, and they say they are not going away. The impact of the fuel blockades across the west of Ireland is really taking effect now. There's no diesel in Achill, no fuel in Balmullet, queues in Erris, queuing for fuel.
There is a need to respond and to respond effectively. The Defence Forces will always and can always, through their mechanisms, through the aid to civil power, provide that support. That request was asked this morning of the Defence Forces and they have responded immediately, and they will, of course, through engagement with the Defence Forces, respond in the most appropriate way. But
where we have capabilities that An Garda Síochána may not have, they've asked for certain capabilities for this particular operation, and we'll provide them. I can't go into any details of where those operations are ongoing, but we will.
This is big.
An Garda Síochána.
I didn't even realize it was this big. I knew that they were using the military, but that's crazy.
Ireland is maybe weeks away from complete collapse, and their justice minister can blame outside actors all they want. It won't change the fact that at some point, the Irish government will need to serve the Irish citizens, as the protesters are nowhere near defeat.
Especially because Ireland is like giga libtard woke and everything. Like, it's crazy. Every time I see some shit come out of an Irish politician, I always roll my eyes. Not gonna lie, sorry if I have any Irish guys watching, but your politicians are fucking horrible, man.
My answer to the army coming in the streets is we have actually a bigger army. So we're not afraid of the army.
Whoa!
We're angry protesters, plant hire men. The army will not move this protest, and if any vehicle is touched on that protest, there'll be 10 more to replace it immediately.
With people pointing out their prison capacity is less than 8,000, as at this point, this is still a genuine peaceful protest. The media can villainize the farmers all they want, but as allegedly the gaudy cars are running out of gas, the protesters are given passage to fuel tankers that supply emergency vehicles, and even ambulances are free to pass their blockades.
Wow, dude.
This really seems...
It doesn't really sound like a blockade anymore. It just sounds like good people caring about their country. Sounds to me like they're patriots. I'm not gonna lie.
The Irish military has an unwinnable war, as more farmers are born in support.
Reinforcements have arrived in Killarane, lads, with more on the way. This ain't moving tonight. Block it up and solid. And for anyone that doesn't know, there is 1000% an army recovery unit in the Garda station in Wexford. We need to block this place solid.
Utilizing untowable logging trucks to block the roads. Even bringing in little horse carriages with kids driving in their own trucks for the cause.
Crazy.
With UFC superstar Conor McGregor.
Look how peaceful it is. No firebombing, no looting, no broken windows, no toppling monuments. Oh my God. It's like right-wing protests, and it's just like everyone loves their country and comes together. And it's like left-wing protests is just like fucking terrorism.
McGregor is now supplying food and support, but authorities are allegedly freezing the bank accounts of reporters.
Yeah, I'm not surprised by that at all. That happened in Canada. I remember that very clearly. During COVID, there were truckers like, yo, we would like to drive during COVID. And the actual, in my opinion, draconian COVID rules in Canada were like, no, if you drive your truck, we're going to freeze your bank account. And they did that. They did that to truckers across the country. Unbelievable act of fascism, even though no one ever complained about that, and they'll just scream at Trump for fascism because he wants borders or something.
It's almost like every single element of this is exactly the same as a freedom convoy in Canada, where the truckers block the roads over the lockdowns and mandates, so the Canadian government villainized, beat, and trampled anybody against them. Then not only debanked the protesters, but...
That's crazy. That's I totally did not know he was going to go there.
Anybody that dare support them.
Yeah.
Showing that even though Ireland's protests are about the rising cost of fuel, it's actually an uprising that's been a long time coming.
Oh,
As of course their cost of fuel is an issue, but just highlights how the Irish are being crushed by taxes to fund immigration services.
There it is, every time.
And we
Dude, Ireland is a nightmare.
Knew about Ireland's issues 2 years ago when a newcomer slashed several students. A year after that, the Irish anti-immigration movement has continued. Fast forward to this week, another mass stabbing occurred on Irish kids, where of course the Irish Times won't show an image of him, despite never having an issue showing someone's face before. As of course, hidden inside the article, the attacker is
there it is, a Somali.
Exactly Irish. And even when posted on hyper-left Reddit, all the top comments were angry over his multiple knife-related cases, still being let out on probation and never being deported. But more importantly, talking about the cultural incompatibility. So Reddit immediately locked down this conversation.
You're not allowed to mention the fact that rapists rape. Mentioning that rapists rape is very offensive to some people that are pro-raping rapists.
As mass censorship over this issue can only continue for so long, what started as a fuel protest might just be the flashpoint that unifies the other social issues, as everybody can get together over gas taxes, but then at that gathering you hear where exactly those taxes are going. Wait, there was another stabbing? I didn't hear about that. When did these tanks get here? And as these issues aren't exclusive in Ireland, they're in nearly every European country today. So whatever happens in Ireland this
Hungary apparently
week will likely be the same fate for the entire continent. So if
he's right though. This is massive. It really is. This is an uprising. The public opinion is really shifting everywhere that had to deal with like these socialist governments that were like pro-terrorism, pro-Islam, pro-immigration, you know, radical leftists for the most part, where, you know, they'll squash you, they'll tax you to oblivion, and they'll use your taxes to fund rapists and mass murderers that they're bringing into the country to honestly terrorize your children. People are just really tired of this shit. There is an awakening going on, and a lot of people are willing to address things and talk about things that they were not willing to before. 2026, Year of the Crusade. It's happening.